fans are making a lot of noise at AT&T Stadium.
Anything that moves between these lines, got to get dealt with.
They hand it to Pollard. He comes running out the right side. Deep to the post to Lamb. At the 5 to the goal line.
Dallas Cowboys Game Night is presented by AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. It's Miller time. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
It was not the regular season finale that we had envisioned for the Dallas Cowboys. 26-6 as Washington takes down their NFC East foe in the final week of the 2022 regular season. Week 18, not exactly what the Cowboys had in mind. They do fall to the 5 seed in the NFC. Philadelphia wins the NFC East. They are the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs, and they will get the bye. Dallas facing Tampa Bay in the wild card round next week. Welcome into Cowboys Game Night here from the Star in Frisco and the Globe Life Studios alongside 6-time Pro Bowler and 3-time Super Bowl champ Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Nate, you've been a part of 3 Super Bowl championship teams. Have you ever seen games like this close to the playoffs from a team that has Super Bowl thoughts in their heads?
No, I haven't. You seem like each year you should get better. We went through this last year, getting ready for the playoffs and having these wishy-washy games. This year here we should be more of a veteran team. We got better talent. We should be better. And I think that we didn't do that today. It started with the offensive line. It leaked over into your quarterback, wide receivers, running back. Nobody played a great game offensively. Then special teams, they collapsed a little bit with Turpin with the fumble and then our punter with the miscue of the football. And then our defense collectively, they just haven't put their foot down and got after the passer. So it was a team loss today.
Yeah, it really was. All 3 phases had a hand in the way that the Cowboys fell in this one by 20 to Washington. And it was a special teams miscue here and there early on. That became a theme. Brian Anger, the punter, he drops the snap, picks it back up, but he's taken down at the 20-yard line, giving Washington and rookie quarterback Sam Howell great field position. His first NFL pass attempt finds Terry McLaurin, who turns upfield at the numbers. He's into the end zone. Washington goes up 7-0 early. Then after a defensive stop, Kevontae Turpin back to receive the punt. The Pro Bowler, who's been great all year, muffs it and gives Washington the ball at the 15-yard line. Luckily, it didn't turn into points.
They say always look the ball in, all the way in. He didn't do that. He let it get up on him. It hit him in the bottom of his face mask, and there it is. We got the big oops, well, big turnover.
Yeah, Washington missed a field goal, luckily, but into the second, Washington got the ball back there on the Dallas 5. Howell makes a huge mistake. Malik Hooker steals some points in the red zone with his 3rd interception of the year. That kept Dallas within striking distance. However, they had no rhythm on offense, and it wouldn't get much better with this one. Dak Prescott, his 15th interception of the year, goes for a quick pick 6.
That defense dictated that you did not throw it out there. He got a oops on the first one, and this time he got a pick 6 on the second one. That was a throw that shouldn't have been made.
That put Dallas down by 13. However, the Cowboys would salvage some points off the 2-minute drill at the end of the second. This pass to CeeDee Lamb made it 13-6 at the break.
CeeDee Lamb has been on fire, and he continued to do it. He's making plays for the Dallas Cowboys. Tight fit, nice catch.
That opened the door in the 3rd quarter, but Dallas just didn't take hold of this one. Instead, Sam Howell did so, rumbling his way in, breaking 4 tackles on his way to the end zone. His second touchdown put Washington up 20-6. When Dallas got the ball back in the 4th quarter on 4th and 1, they had to go for it. They did not get it off of the quarterback sneak, and that was all she wrote for the Cowboys in this one. The offense held to under 200 yards, 182 to be exact. They were just 4 of 18 on 3rd downs and just mustered 64 yards on the ground as the Washington defense absolutely stifles the Cowboys, shut them out in the second half, and really Dak Prescott and company could never find that rhythm that they had seen since his return back on offense. The turnovers, though, they were there again. And when we come back here on Cowboys Game Night, we're going to hear from Dak Prescott and his thoughts following the 20-point loss to Washington and a disappointing end to the regular season.
This segment is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. If you have a lucky quarter, it could pay off big when you play the new Cowboys scratch ticket game from the Texas Lottery.
Dak Prescott completed just 14 of his 37 pass attempts in the loss against the Washington Commanders, statistically one of the worst performances of his career. However, it wasn't just the statistics, it was the fact that he put his team in a couple tough situations and compounded 3 and outs throughout the second half, along with the pick 6 in the first half. But here's what Dak had to say following the loss.
How do you separate that from knowing you have to forget about it quickly and get ready for camp?
Yeah, we've got the right guys in this locker room that understand, that are mature men, that understand that nobody played their best ball. Simple as that. And so, but to be accountable, starting with myself, be accountable for what you put out there, what you did, and then from that, understanding that's not who we are, and then moving on and knowing what we've got ahead of us, and it's one play at a time. The intensity, the focus, all that, one play at a time, one game at a time.
How do you explain that performance, especially your performance? You've had some picks, but you've had a lot of high completion, but 14 to 37, whatever it was. How do you explain it?
It's hard to. I mean, I said crappy. Yeah, I mean, 14 completions, I mean, yeah, not good enough, period.
Dallas Warriors. Could you feel that when you're out there, like just everything is completely out of sorts?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're just trying to get something going, and just wasn't able to, honestly. And I mean, some of the times, yeah, I probably should have just went underneath on some of the throws and wanting to make a play, wanting to get the energy going, wanting to get us going. Took some shots, and those shots weren't there. And once again, we're back behind the chains, and we never put ourselves in third downs that were manageable, and that's what we've done this year.
Were you aware of the Eagles score during the game that they got?
Not at all. Not at all. Zero awareness of what was going on over there. I mean, as I told you before, we had to handle business for that to even be a possibility. So, no, just couldn't get off on the right foot.
So we've talked plenty about the turnovers for Dak Prescott, really the play that he's had throughout the last couple of weeks. And if you want to hear more on that, go watch Cowboys OT, because Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, and Nate Newton here hit it quite a bit. But let's talk about the offense as a whole. It has not been clicking on all cylinders. Where does it start?
With him.
Really?
With the quarterback.
There you go.
And then I say with the offensive line, because I believe the offensive line is the protector of all. We have to have our quarterback comfortable. We have to have the running back seeing lanes so they can run to daylight. But he has to understand it's a difference between forcing something or trying to make a play. He said they stayed behind the chains. That's because you didn't have any continuity with your wide receivers. You did not take the check downs. Take the check downs. That is the quickest way. Take your 7-minute drive and score a touchdown, and that is the quickest way to get your team back on track. You don't have to always look for the big play. And in the playoffs against Tom, you're going to have to keep him off the field. So, hey, adapt that train of thought. Trickle down the field. Get touchdowns and not 3 points, and you'll be okay, Dak.
So throughout his career, his pocket presence has actually been one of his best traits as a quarterback.
Yes.
But through this season, there have been those happy feet moments where it looks like the pocket's collapsing around him and he's had to make an adjustment. How much can the offensive line and the lack of continuity up front really be playing a factor on Dak's rhythm, fundamentals, all of it?
Tyler Biadasz getting back, putting Connor McGovern back where he belonged, putting Tyler Smith back where he belonged, and working hard this week, doing a little extra work, making sure your protections are right so that he can get this presence back. I mean, just slow down the game. Y'all have been here before. You need to get to the second round, and you need to do everything in your power to prepare for that.
Yeah, that's a huge piece for this Cowboys team moving forward. And when you suffer a loss like this, everybody in Cowboys Nation, they want to hear from the top. We heard from Mike McCarthy in our other shows, but let's hear from Jerry Jones and his reaction at FedEx Field after the loss to the Washington Commanders when we come back on more Cowboys Game Night.
This segment was brought to you by the Texas Lottery. If you have a lucky quarter, it could pay off big when you play the new Cowboys scratch ticket game from the Texas Lottery.
26-6, the final score, Washington over Dallas in Week 18 of the NFL season. Kyle Yeoman's back with you. And let's go back out to Landover, Maryland and FedEx Field where we hear from Cowboys owner Jerry Jones.
Okay. We get to suck on that all week. And if that doesn't make you want to get ready to go in about 6-7 days, nothing else will. And that was as thorough a butt kicking as we've had this year. And we're going to find out if that'll get you ready or not. It should, with what these guys are made of. That's all I got to say. And I'm frankly, they're sound. They've got really outstanding players, and they're very physical. And so you can basically see a scenario where some of the physicalness that were there, but more important than anything is we get to, and I know you've heard that, and I haven't even been down here, but I've heard it, but this one you get to come back over a bad dream and get to Jimmy Stewart and had to have a wonderful Christmas, come back next week, get back in the gear. But that's certainly the way I look at it, and I'm so disappointed for our fans, but not half as disappointed as I would be if I were sitting there this time next week. So we got something to go for, and we'll empty this bucket this week.
How concerning is it to perform this way in the final week of the regular season going into the playoffs in this kind of fashion?
Well, I would go down just individually and look at each individual, and I'm sure each individual will have performances there that they can and will do better. And so that's for them to say. But make no mistake about it, that's a good team that we played out there tonight. And they could have very easily and probably should have been in the playoff where we were. But we're better than that, and we all believe that very strongly. But now then, we've got to put it out there and get it out there for everybody to look at here next week.
So there's Jerry Jones following the loss to Washington. Back here with Nate Newton. And Nate, the pressure now starting to turn up for the Cowboys, as it always does for playoff time. But after a performance like this, I think the pressure is even more so on this coaching staff, on the personnel to get the job done against Tampa Bay next week. But what part of this franchise, what part of this team is under the most pressure?
Just a head coach. I mean, I like Coach McCarthy, and I think that he deserves to be back. But if this thing is a one and done, and it's an ugly one and done, I'm going to be probably the only guy fighting for Coach McCarthy to be back, because every chance we get come Monday morning and things don't go right, look at Coach McCarthy. This guy's done a super job, I think, and he deserves to be here, but it's all about the playoffs with the Cowboys. We need to get to the second round.
It's 12-5 for the second straight year, entering the playoffs after the regular season comes to an end. Nearly the same seed, except now you play on the road as the 5 seed rather than at home as the 4 seed. When you look at this game coming up and the defense and the way that they played today, not well against backup quarterback and Sam Howell and this Washington offense, where's the pressure lie for them? Do they need to take a step up in order to have success?
The middle of our defense, the 3 technique, which is the both tackles need to play well. Michael Parsons, D-Law, you have to play well. No excuses. Y'all need to dominate and to take over the game. And the way you do that is we'll probably have Leighton Vander Esch back and Hankins back. You have to stop the run. Keep them up under 130 yards, around about 3 points to a carry, and you'll be all right. Then you can rush the passer how you want.
Yeah, there you have it. Because if you have those guys playing at the level that they were earlier in the season, you may not need the offense to score a bunch of points because the defense was as lethal as they were early on. We'll see if they can get back to that in a moment. Speaking of lethal, CeeDee Lamb continues to be that wide receiver 1. Can the Cowboys continue to build around him and find him some help? We'll hear from him when we come back. Welcome back into Cowboys game night. The Cowboys fall to the Commanders 26-6 at FedEx Field. CeeDee Lamb held to just 5 receptions. He was 4 catches short of setting a new single-season reception record for the franchise. Here's what Lamb had to say after the loss.
CeeDee, what do you make of a performance like this, and how does it linger for you guys going into the playoffs?
Can't really let it linger, but I feel like we could have played a lot better. I mean, we ain't really moved the ball much on offense. Special team, we had a couple costly turnovers. I mean, defense, they played lights out, honestly. There's only so much slack you can give an NFL offense, or like our defense, they did what they had to do. We got to play complementary football.
You guys obviously have a bad taste in your mouth after this, but how motivating is it for you guys just to know that there is no more margin for error when it does start next week?
I feel like guys, I mean, not guys, we all got to flip the switch, you know, understanding that we can't really lose anymore. And then going in, you know, into this game, I feel like we knew we were going to win. And obviously we didn't come out and then play to the, you know, the standard that we knew we set for ourselves, But, yeah, going into next week, we know what we got to do. We know the season is pretty much at stake. Not really pretty much, it is. So we got to go out there and play better.
How important it is to flip the switch fairly quickly while still owning what happened out there today to prevent that from happening?
Let whatever happens today move on. I mean, we kind of treat it like a win. If we won, I mean, the same thing. You got to leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? So just move on next week. We got to be better, truly and honestly. That's pretty much all that is to it.
Is there anything you can point to that has led to, I mean, you guys have had games where you've had minor struggles that seem to be more pronounced?
Not necessarily. We keep the ball on our end, not really giving it away. And I feel like any turnover in the NFL is costly. So carrying that over to the playoffs, we cannot turn the ball over as much as we do.
Have you ever experienced 10 3-and-outs in any level of football you've
Never
ever played? With how you guys have performed on third down since Dak's return, stunning, surprise. Like, what word would you use to describe it?
Very surprised. I mean, it's not normal for us, and we're not really used to it. So, you know, it was very surprising. But I feel like collectively as a unit, we understand that we didn't really get, you know, any first downs on third down. Feel like, but we got a capital loss.
Now you know you're locked in to playing Tampa first round of the playoffs. How much are you guys looking forward to the opportunity to get another crack at them after what happened in week one?
Like I said, week one doesn't really matter or carry over to, you know, the playoffs. But most definitely looking forward to playing them in Tampa. And, yeah. Thank you.
Well, look at that. It's a natural transition from CeeDee Lamb talking about how week one and that 19-3 loss against Tampa Bay, it doesn't matter too much. Instead, what matters is ahead, and that's the wild card matchup on the road against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. When we come back, we'll put the loss to Washington in the rearview mirror and see how Dallas can have some playoff success on Cowboys game night.
Dallas Cowboys Game Night was presented by AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys, Reliant, an NRG company, and by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
It was a complete team loss against the Washington Commanders. The Cowboys have had plenty of team wins. This one, offense, defense, special teams, none of which really held up their end of the bargain as they fall in our nation's capital to the Commanders 26-6 to conclude the regular season. On to the playoffs we go and the wild card round against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Alongside Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Where do you want to see the improvement from this Cowboys team before playoff time starts?
Defensively, we have to get Leighton Vander Esch back, and we have to get Jonathan Hankins back. We got to shore up that run game so we can make teams one-dimensional. And the Tampa Bay Bucs have not been running the ball well, so that's the advantage for us. Offensively, we got to get Tyler Biadasz back so we can get everybody back in their normal position so they can work as one unit. We have to control tempo, offensive line and defensive line. This thing going to be won in the trenches. That way our special guys, the athletes outside of that, can do what they need to do.
And they haven't been winning that battle in the trenches over the last couple weeks, and that's a big reason for concern for this Cowboys team. The possibilities here are still endless. You've got a chance to make a run here. You wouldn't have had any better seeding if you even would have won the game against Washington, but going in as the 5 seed against 4 seed Tampa Bay, you've still got everything on the table. By the way, we've got a watch party coming up this week. We don't know where yet. It'll either be at AT&T Stadium, at the Miller Lighthouse, or here at the Star in Frisco. Either way, Nate Newton and myself will be out there to have some fun with the fans. For Nate and our entire DallasCowboys.com crew, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you next week with a playoff edition of Cowboys Game Night.